My fiancé confessed 2 months before our wedding. By the way, I have 3 teenage daughters you'll be supporting once we're married. Surprise, I said. What a beautiful surprise. Then I hired a private investigator and canceled the venue. Her screaming. Call when she found out I discovered her 5 previous secret marriages that I need a drink just to type this out. Seriously, grab a beer or something before reading, because you won't believe what I just walked away from. 2 months ago, I was engaged to the woman I thought was the love of my life. Today, I'm sitting in an empty house staring at divorce papers from marriages I didn't even know existed. Yeah, life moves fast. Let me back up. I met Serena 4 years ago at a golf tournament. I'm not a country club guy. My company sponsored a hole, and as the newest exec, I got voluntold to attend. She was working the event, coordinating the silent auction. Smart, stunning, hilarious, and somehow down-to-earth despite her high society crowd. We hit it off instantly. She told me she was 38, divorced once in her 20s, no kids, and worked as an event coordinator for luxury fundraisers. I'm 42, divorced once, no kids. We seem perfectly matched, similar goals, lifestyle, chemistry, everything. After a year and a half, she moved in. A year later, I proposed. The wedding was set for June, modest by our standards, but still a vineyard affair that drained my savings. Sure, we had normal bumps. She traveled a lot for work, kept her past private. I respected that. She said her family was estranged, which made sense given the story she told. She didn't want me on her social media because of a stalker situation. Reasonable, right? Looking back, every red flag now looks like a flare gun. Separate bank accounts. A P.O. box for business mail. Sudden work emergencies that lasted days. The burner phone she brushed off as a client boundary issue. But hindsight's perfect, and I was too blinded by love to see at point 2 months ago we were having dinner at home, grilled steaks, good wine, the usual Friday. She looked nervous, which was rare. I need to tell you something, she said, fiddling with her napkin. It's about the wedding and after. I thought, cold feet? Maybe a new job offer? Nope. I have 3 daughters, she said. They're 13, 15, and 16. They've been living with my sister, but they'll be moving in with us after the wedding. I almost choked. 3 teenage daughters? Never once mentioned in 3 years. She nodded, acting both guilty and oddly composed. I know it's a lot, she continued, but I want to be sure we were solid first. Kids can scare men off. Their father's not in the picture, no child support, so you'll need to help with their expenses. They'll need to start at private school here. They're amazing girls. You'll love them. My mind was spinning. 3 teenagers. Private school. Not one mention. No pictures, no holidays, nothing. What are their names? I asked. She hesitated, just long enough for me to notice. Madison, Taylor, and Alexis. That tiny pause was the first crack in her story. Later, I learned she could barely remember which names she'd assigned to her fictional children. But in that moment, I just sat there trying to stay calm. This is a lot, I said carefully. Why tell me now, 2 months before the wedding? The timing worked out, she said smoothly. Their school year ends right before the wedding. And honestly, I was afraid you'd back out if I told you earlier. I forced a smile. What a surprise. Tell me more about them. And she did, for an hour, weaving detailed stories about their personalities, hobbies, allergies, favorite books. She even had photos ready on her phone. I now know they were stock images or stolen from random accounts. That night, after she went to bed, I stayed up drinking, trying to make sense of everything. The woman I was about to marry had hidden 3 children from me for our entire relationship. What else was she lying about? The next morning, I told her I just needed time to process, but was excited to meet them. She bought it. Completely. Monday, I went to work, but really, I drove straight to see Dan, an old college buddy who's now a private investigator. 3 kids she never mentioned, he said, eyebrows up. Man, that is a city full of red flags. I know, I said. Maybe there's an explanation, but I need to know the truth. Dan nodded. Give me 3 weeks. If she's hiding something this deep, it's not just one secret. I wrote him a check for the retainer, gave him everything I knew about Serena, birth date, job, what little background she'd shared. Those next 3 weeks were the longest of my life that I kept things normal with Serena, talking about wedding details, pretending to be excited, and occasionally asking casual questions about the girls. She always had an answer ready, but avoided specifics about when I might actually meet them. Let's wait until right after the wedding, she'd say. I don't want to disrupt their routine again. Nearly a month later, Dan called. We need to meet. Not on the phone, was all he said. We met at a diner just outside town, the kind of place no one would think to look. He arrived with a thick folder and a grim expression. You're not going to like what I found, he said, sliding the folder across the table. Your fiancé isn't who she says she is. I opened it to see a driver's license with her photo, but a completely different name. Her real name is Valerie Simmons, Dan continued. Not Serena Shaw. And she doesn't have 3 kids. She's never had any. I stared at the photo, my pulse pounding. What she does have, he went on, is a criminal record for fraud and at least 5 previous marriages, none of which were legally dissolved. Inside the folder were copies of marriage certificates, incomplete divorce filings, and police reports from 3 different states. Her pattern's always the same, Dan explained. She targets wealthy men, marries them, drains their accounts, then vanishes. Those business trips? She's been juggling at least 2 other relationships in different cities. And the kicker? She's planning to marry one of them next month in Denver. He flipped to a section with surveillance photos. Serena or Valerie, smiling arm in arm with another man, looking every bit the doting fiancé. There were also bank records showing transfers from hidden accounts, credit card statements under different names, and something that made my stomach drop, photos from inside her storage unit. Dan had accessed it legally through a contact at the facility. Inside was a detailed notebook, her business model. It laid out exactly how she ran her cons, step-by-step scripts for luring men, gaining trust, and introducing surprise children right before a wedding to test financial commitment. She's been arrested for this before? I asked, flipping through the police reports. 3 times, Dan said. Charges dropped each time because the victims were too embarrassed to testify. She served 18 months about 5 years ago on a felony fraud conviction, then started over under a new identity. And now she's about to marry someone else? I said, disbelief thick in my voice. Yeah, Dan nodded. She's already legally married to at least 3 of her previous husbands. The divorces were never finalized. She just disappears, changes her name slightly, and starts again. Bigamy's rarely prosecuted unless someone pushes hard, and most don't. I sat there, staring at the evidence of a 3-year lie. Every laugh, every kiss, every late night. I love you. All calculated. What should I do? I finally asked. You could go to the cops, Dan said, but these cases get messy fast. Technically, you haven't lost money yet. My advice? Document everything, lock down your assets, and get out quietly. She's good at flipping the story to make her victims look like the villains. I nodded numbly. Thanks. I owe you. Just don't sign any wedding papers, he said. And watch your back. That night, I moved fast. I transferred funds to new accounts, changed every password, copied every document Dan had given me, and moved all important papers and valuables to a safe deposit box. Then I called the vineyard and canceled the wedding, citing a family emergency. Lost the deposit, but that was a cheap escape compared to what she'd have taken later. The next morning, I met with a lawyer who specialized in fraud. He skimmed through the folder, let out a low whistle, and said, "You're lucky you caught this before the wedding." Her playbook's always the same. Quick marriage, joint accounts, then cleaned out finances within months. What about her other marriages? I asked. Shouldn't someone report that? We can file complaints in each state, he said. But focus on protecting yourself first. Cross-state fraud cases take time. Years, sometimes. With legal advice and a plan, I waited until Serena's next business trip that weekend. The moment she left, I boxed up everything she owned in my house. My brother helped me move it all to a storage unit I rented, under her name, paid for 3 months in advance. While packing, I found another burner phone, different from the one I'd seen before. Inside were text messages to her other fiancé about their wedding next month. There were also chats with someone named Mark about a real estate investment that required the new husband's contribution. Each man had a code name. Mine was Golf Daddy. Cute that I photographed everything. Then I left a manila envelope at her office, which Dan had discovered wasn't an actual office at all, just a virtual mailbox. Inside the envelope was a note, the storage unit key, and copies of every document she didn't want me to see. Wedding's off. Your things are in storage unit number 247. Key enclosed. Don't come back, or I'll contact all your husbands, fiancés, and the police that I changed the locks, installed cameras, and waited for the fallout. It came 8 hours later. My phone blew up with calls and texts from unknown numbers. I ignored them until I finally picked up. You __ bastard, she screamed. How dare you go through my things? I said nothing, just hit record. I'll ruin you. I'll tell everyone you abused me. You don't have daughters, I interrupted calmly. And you don't even have your real name on our lease, Valerie. Silence. Then coldly, what did you call me? Valerie Simmons. Or should I say Jessica Taylor in Colorado? Melissa Wright in Arizona? Hard to keep track. Another pause. Then, what do you want? For you to disappear, I said. And don't try me. I have your notebook, arrest records, and photos from your storage unit. She hissed. No one will believe you. Funny, I said. Your husband in Seattle already does. The one with the twin boys you invented last time. She hung up. 10 minutes later, you'll regret this. I forwarded the text to my lawyer and blocked her. In the following weeks, she tried showing up at my house twice, caught on camera, and launched a smear campaign claiming I'd cheated. I showed a few trusted people Dan's file, and that rumor died fast. She even tried my family. My sister filmed her ranting on the porch. More evidence. Her final stunt was unreal. She showed up in my office with 3 teenage girls announcing, "These are my daughters, the ones he abandoned." The girls looked confused. I told them gently, "I've never met you." She's lying. Security's coming to help you find your parents. One girl whispered, "You said this was an audition for a reality show." And just like that, her last act crumbled. Security detained her. The teens admitted she'd paid them $100 each to pose as her kids. Police charged her with fraud and endangering minors. She made bail, but vanished soon after, likely heading to Denver for her next wedding. I sent a full dossier to the Denver Fiancé. His wedding got canceled too. It's been 4 months now. I filed reports in multiple states, but progress is slow. These scammers know how to stay just below the radar. Some days, I still miss the woman I thought she was, the one who never existed. 3 years with a ghost leaves a mark. I'm in therapy now, rebuilding, staying cautious. Last week, I got a text from an unknown number. "You were different." Almost made me want to stop. Almost I didn't reply. Just forwarded it to Dan, poured myself a whiskey, and reminded myself, some people collect stamps. My ex collect husbands. I'm just glad I only made it to her almost list. He's a powerful tech executive with resources I could only dream of. After confirming my story, he hired private investigators specializing in multi-state fraud. For months, they built a detailed case, linking victims and evidence across state lines. 3 months ago, they presented everything to the FBI, and because the scam involved identity theft in cross states, it became a federal case. Last month, I gave my first interview to an FBI agent. She said these cases take time, but my documentation helped connect multiple complaints into one large investigation. They believe Serena was part of a network targeting wealthy men, each scammer with specific roles and regions. Subpoenas are out, and while arrests could take a year or more, progress is happening. Thomas and I now stay in touch, along with other victims he connected me to. We've built a small brotherhood, sharing stories and recovery. Then, a young woman reached out, Serena's real daughter. Estranged for years, she confirmed many details and gave the FBI her mother's true name and history. Last week, Serena called me from a blocked number. "You're making a mistake," she said. I told her the FBI would prove everything. I recorded the call and sent it to my contact. Life is calmer now. I renovated my house, upgraded security, and started dating again, slowly and carefully. Deleting the last photo of us felt like closing a chapter. 18 months later. The FBI finally made arrests. Serena and 4 others charged with wire fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy across 15 states and 26 victims. Their operation used real businesses to find targets and build psychological profiles. Thomas turned his anger into purpose, developing tools to help other victims. I've helped test them. I've also met more of Serena's former victims. We've built an odd but healing support group. Her real daughter has even become a friend, helping me see how deep her mother's manipulation ran. Now I'm with someone new. We both did background checks, openly and honestly. It feels real this time. Looking back, the red flags were clear: inconsistent stories, no real friends, burner phones, and sudden emergencies. The biggest lesson? Trust your gut, not your heart.